Alright guys, hope all is well with you. Today's state of the game was pretty huge. Now I was expecting this after speaking with Frederick on Twitter, and he did say he was bringing the thunder, and I gotta say, he pretty much brought the thunder today. There is a lot to go through in today's recap video. I'm going to do my best to go over every single thing that was mentioned in today's state of the game as quickly and as briefly as possible. And I will probably do a follow-up video going over everything and giving you my opinion, probably in a video on Friday. So strap yourself in. There's going to be a lot of images in this video. And for a lot of the images, I'm not going to explain exactly what everything is. I'm essentially going to show you guys so you can see what it is. You guys can take what you want from it, and we'll go from there. If you enjoy this one, drop a like. It really does help me out. Subscribe for dedicated Division 2 content. And let's begin. Okay, so as usual, I'm going to go down the list of everything that I wrote as of today's state of the game. It's 2 pages long. This could be a long video, but I'm sure you guys will stick around until the end. So first up, we had Hamish with Drew and Frederick. We had the priority alert. So the maintenance, that was yesterday, I believe. The Invisible Walls patch that was planned was not actually ready, and it won't be ready until Title Update 7 or Episode 3. The stuck NPC's cause has been found, and a fix for that is coming with TU7. Becoming stuck in the UI and unable to spawn whilst in the DZ is also coming with TU7, and that's pretty much it. And they move straight on to the meat of the stream, which is the huge RNG kind of RPG overhaul. The first thing they said was the elephant in the room. What's the main ethos of this change? And Frederick confirmed that almost after a year of feedback, they are going to be rebooting the Gear game, basically Gear 2.0. And how do we get here? Well, they confirmed that the major frustration that players can reach is the feeling that there is too much RNG to contend with, and that caused problems with the loot system, overall stress and dissatisfaction, and with that stress on the inventory and being in the inventory scheme. Most of the time you'll spend in inventory and actually playing the game just due to how convoluted the whole system looked and how it felt, and the fact that your RNG was just astronomical. And I've done plenty of videos on this, you guys know this well. That's the ethos, that's what they're trying to fix, essentially. So they confirm that it's a three-pronged approach, and in this stream is the first aspect, and that's the gear. The other 2 aspects will be coming next week, which is recal and skill refactorization. So those are the other 2 approaches to fixing this problem. Now they confirm that there will be things they cannot cover today, but they're going to give us some insight into what's coming, and they understand that gear revamp, it's generally not popular, but they want to give you some context. Now, it's important to note this, guys, so please remember this. This is not going to come on its own. Okay, this update is not going to come on its own. And importantly, it's going to come with a new power cap, although they didn't confirm what that power cap is, but there's going to be a new power cap, so you're going to have to farm anyway. It's going to come with new things to get, and it's going to come with new things to play as well. This isn't coming as part of TU7 or Episode 3, it's coming afterwards. So we're going to be getting a whole new stuff, essentially, with this update. So you're going to have to farm anyway, and it's important to remember that when you consider these huge changes. It's going to come essentially as one big package. Now, moving on, they confirm that the stream focuses on the gear. Okay, and on screen you're going to see what is a couple of images of the PowerPoint that they included, and you'll see here it's the new gear game. Now, the problems that they listed there on the left is that it's too rare to get usable things. It's hard to understand. You're having to keep too many things in your inventory, whatever. No satisfaction in god rolls, and there's too many hybrid builds. There's not enough actual rolls. Everyone can do everything, okay? And it's got to the point where it's too confusing that even if you pick up a piece of gear, you don't know if it's god roll just because of all the other stuff. And you could be there for ages, you know, going alt-tabbing and going other places to find out if it's good gear or not, and they don't want that. That's not what they want from the game. And at the moment, due to the hybrid builds, you're getting too much of everything, okay? You can get high damage, high armor builds all at once, and there's no interest in trade-offs, okay? So we know that as of right now because we've got shotgun builds that have high armor and do incredible damage. Where's the trade-off? Well, that's what they want to fix as well. They want to bring back those trade-offs. They want to reduce hybrid builds, and they want to make you have to spec into some particularly, okay? Now, they also included this image, which is the package, and you're going to see that on screen now. Now, this is a work in progress, okay? So I want you guys to remember that as you're looking through the actual figures that's on the screen. Pretty much everything, but it's just to give you an idea as to how it's going to look, Okay, now the goals were to make gear more intuitive, so easy to understand. Like I said, not alt-tabbing to find out whether this is good or bad. It's just you can look at it, you know what it is, and you know whether you want it or not, essentially. They still want to keep the deepness of the game. They want to still keep the builds. They want to still keep the synergy. So this isn't... They aren't simplifying it by removing loads of stuff and thus removing those layers of deepness within the game. They still want to keep the game deep. And then with satisfying, they want you to see what an upgrade is, and they want you to feel the impact of a build that you've made, essentially. Now, they confirm that the budget system is of course gone. Everything can roll to max, and one stat will not affect the other. With the budget system, that's kind of how it worked. If you had one high stat, then the other stat was going to be low. Well, that's not the case anymore. They're removing that. God rolls are coming back. You can max everything out. They've looked at all brands, and all brands have been reviewed. And with that, they're going to be more fitting to the play styles. And they are actually the low popularity of brands. It's going to be revitalized as well. So the brands that aren't being looked at as much, they're going to be revitalized so that they're more in line with all the other brands within the game, and that they fit the playstyle that should come with that particular brand. Core attributes are going to be similar to Division 1, but they're going to be a lot more straightforward. And there's only 3 core attributes. You've got weapon damage, skill tier, or armor. And skill tiers are going to be discussed in next week's State of the Game, so we don't know anything about that, but you have to choose one. Okay, so you either have weapon damage, you either have skill tier, or you have armor. You can't have all 3, which also means that weapon damage is no longer a attribute. Okay, it's just a core attribute now, as well as skill tier, and armor. They're core attributes. They're no longer attributes. Now, these are going to be determined by brand. They can be fully recalibrated, and as I said, they're not available as attributes as well. Okay, so basically everything can be recalibrated. I believe you're only going to be able to recalibrate one stat, and they're going to have more next week on that. But as they've made the game, or they've reduced the overall layers of RNG, it should be that even one stat still keeps that grind level in there, but the RNG is still not, it's not crazy. Okay, now the bars obviously on the gear show how good the roll is to max for that particular level. They confirmed in recalibration that you will be able to see what the max roll amount is. So say, for example, you've got a piece of gear which has got 12% weapon damage on it. It's not quite at the top. I presume if you put that piece of gear into recal, it will tell you what the highest amount you can get for that particular gear is. Okay, so that's that. They confirmed that with talents, and this is huge news, guys. Talents are being reworked, and they've been reworked, and they're only going to be available on the backpack and the chest piece. Okay, so you're not going to have talents on gloves, knee pads, anything else, just backpack and chest, except for these talents are going to be a lot bigger and a lot more impactful to the game. There's going to be no requirements for these talents. They are there to amplify your stats. They are build-defining talents. They should create powerful combinations when used in synergy with other talents, and there's obviously going to be fewer active at the same time, so you're not going to have passive talents and all these talents working at the same time, and all these different you're trying to juggle all these different requirements. Instead, you're going to have far fewer active talents, but they're going to be much more powerful than in the current game. This also applies to guns as well, from what they confirmed. And on screen, you're going to see some build defining talents. Okay, so there should be 3 on there. These again are in development. You can stop the video here if you want and have a quick look at these for yourself, but these are there to basically exemplify some good items. They're about 80% power level, and you'll see 3 new talents on there as well, which provide group synergy and roles. For example, you've got I believe the empathic resolve, which brings bonus armor to your team. Actually, the other way around. You've got leadership talent, which brings bonus armor to your team, and then you've got the empathic resolve, which basically buffing people by healing them with that particular talent. And you can see the other talent on there. They're really, really strong talents, and that's there to give you that group synergy, give you those roles, so that you can go into a team and you can build around those talents. And that's really important because we don't really have anything like that in the game right now, and that's a big focus of this update, to provide group synergy and provide roles within teams. Some of that the Division did pretty well, but I believe that with this particular game and with this update, they're trying to do it even more, which is, I think, is the perfect way to go. They confirmed that mods will only roll with one stat and not as many as before. And they will also have the stat bar as well, so you'll be able to see how high that roll is on that particular mod. And this is all of this stuff is really there to reduce the RNG layers significantly. This is one of the biggest problems with the game, and they are directly kind of just going after this problem and fixing it, essentially. They moved on to include a solo focused build. And what you're seeing on screen is just the overview of that build. You'll see it's mainly red with some defensive stuff on there. And I'm going to include the images for every piece of gear within that. So the first one we've got is the backpack. You'll see that it's got a new glass cannon talent. And this backpack, you know, it's a complete DPS backpack. You just got all reds on there and you're just doing as much damage as possible. You got the chest piece with the obliterate talent on there, as you can see, which again is focused around damage. We then got the gloves, which is invested in armor on the core attribute. So you could have had armor, you could have had weapon damage, or you could have had skill tier. They've invested in armor for whatever reason, and they've made that trade-off with the other stuff, and they've obviously invested as well in hazard protection. Some activities will require for you to have that hazard protection, so that's where the trade-off is. The holster, again, gone for more armor, hazard protection, and the brand itself also has hazard protection. So it's just trying to, and again, this is the decision you're going to have to make. If you're going to go for armor as a core attribute, then you're going to lose weapon damage, you're going to use skill tier, and it's that trade-off which is exactly why this update is going to be very, at least already, as from what I'm seeing, is going to be very good. Again, I'll do a video on that soon, but it looks to be going in the right direction. We've got the knee pads as well, with more survivability with that armor and whatnot. And they want to confirm that with named items, they're still going to exist, and so are exotics, but they have been reworked, and named items will roll stats higher than high-end items. So, for example, instead of having like talents, for example, say if you've got named gloves that no longer will have talents in the gear game, instead of having higher talents, instead you might have higher stats. So, for example, you have on a high-end glove, you've got 10% crit chance. Well, with a named item, that might well go up to 15%. So they're still going to be more powerful than those high ends. Exotics will still have talents in their slots. Now, exotics appear to be the only gear that will keep their talents within their slots. But again, everything has been revisited, okay? And certainly if you've got a exotic backpack or exotic chest piece, then they realise that you're going to be sacrificing a talent which you would normally get on a high end for that exotic piece. So actually those talents might be a lot better than the talents on high ends. I hope that makes sense. On screen you're going to see a gear set piece as well. All of the gear sets have been revisited and they've been made more gratifying, more powerful. The chest and the backpack, they have enhancing talents, and I think that's similar to how exotics are going to work, essentially, and you're going to see that enhancing talent on screen as well now. So you can see with this particular gear piece, first piece is skill haste, and we've got repair skills, skill damage. The talent's called feedback loop, and then of course you've got the feedback loop circuit enhancing talent. And again, guys, if you want to check all this stuff out for yourself, please pause the video and then carry on, because if I was to go through everything in this video, it's already at 12 minutes pretty much, we'll be here all night, but I will do that in a future video, of course. And this is just 1/3 of the piece of the whole system, okay, guys? This is just the gear, and this isn't everything, but this is their overall kind of look at it all. It is going to be much more simplified than what we currently have, but as I said before, they're not going to be compromising on depth. A few talents have been removed, and a few of the mod stuff's been removed, but generally everything else is still staying, okay? Now, they wanted to show off the group stuff mainly in this stream, because that's what people have mainly been asking for, but there is still a lot of solo talents, solo builds, so that's absolutely still an option. You can pretty much play as you want, but you will go in a specific direction as to the one that you want. Then they talked about loot tables and drop rates, so they confirmed that most would agree you get a lot of loot in the current live game and most of it's trash. Well, with this update there's going to be less loot, but the vast majority of it is going to be good and interesting. Now, when I heard this reminded me of Division 1 early days, when loot was far less giving. You had a lot less loot, but when you got it, it was a lot more worth it, okay? It had much better stats, it was much better rolled, all of that sort of stuff. So if they go back to a system like that, I'm going to be very, very happy. They then included the developer Q&A. I won't include the video here, guys, but I will name one thing. They talked about named items and if there's going to be any more in a future update. And they confirmed there is going to be more in a future update, almost doubling them. So that's good news to hear. They then went on to talk about weapon damage. and whether the roll is going to be visible. So on a weapon, is the damage roll going to be visible? And yes, it is, because they're going to have a bar like you have on gear for weapons as well, I believe. So the damage roll is going to be visible. You'll know how well rolled that particular weapon is. They went on to say that the stuff you farm now will be converted to the new system. Some stats are obviously not going to be same, and some talents are going to be going away, but your current gear will be as usable as possible compared to where it is currently. Damage to elites, is it still a thing? No, it's actually going to be going as with this gear revamp. They basically said you can build high damage output without specializing on just yellow bars. Right now, you can down a yellow bar with high damage to elites in 1 second, but it might take you longer for a red bar because you've narrowed yourself just to damage to elites. And they don't think that makes sense. It makes much more sense that you just have overall kind of high damage that can down stuff quickly. Does that make sense? So that's why they're removing damage to elites instead, and you can build high damage without it. Armor percentage as an attribute is also going to be going as well. And then basically Frederick just went over like key info. Okay, so he just basically said Gear 2.0, they want a more intuitive way to see what is good, bad, and what you can build. They still want depth. They want you to be comfortable with recal. They want group roles and build niches, all coming as a package after TU7 with new items, new stuff to play, and with a new power cap. That is the synopsis of this entire stream and this video. Next week is recal and skill refactorization, which are the other two main things for this update. And then lastly, they ended on optimization. This is not on the cards right now. And I'm okay with that, because I think optimization, all that would have done at this point, if they make these changes, all that would have done is made everyone's build go to max straight away. And actually, I think it's good that they've reduced the RNG. You're still going to have to grind for the gear you want, but the RNG is a lot lower now, so you are going to get a lot more gratification out of stuff that drops in the world. So that's it for today's video, guys. I apologize, it's almost 16 minutes long for this video. It might even be longer than that with the introduction. But as I said, that is everything. I am going to be making a future video, probably for Friday, going over everything in a bit more detail, giving you my opinions on it all. But I just wanted to get this news out to you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, drop a like, as I said at the start. It really, really does help me out. Thanks for all your support. Until the next one, epic out.